It's time for another expedition. This time, we aren't focusing on one spot, but many. Earth is pretty interesting and quite large, but have you ever wondered where you can find the extremes of this planet? You know, the warmest, coldest, highest, lowest, windiest places? If you are subscribed to this channel, you probably have, to be honest, but have you also thought about which places come in second and maybe even third? I doubt that. So, for this expedition, we are going to explore the Earth's geographic extremes and its honorable mentions. For this expedition, you will need a map of the world, to spare about 7 minutes of your time, a mind that is incapable of retaining useful information but can name the 20 largest Chinese cities in order. Let's start with some warm places, and it's actually already getting difficult to determine the second hottest place because it's equally difficult to determine the hottest place. Generally accepted for the hottest temperature ever recorded is 56.7 degrees Celsius at Furnace Creek, Death Valley on the 10th of July 1913. Yeah, we're using Celsius by the way because it's the better system. The silver medal will go to the close runner-up, which is a temperature of 55 degrees, recorded in 1931 in Kabylie, Tunisia. But this temperature is apparently disputed. Actually, some dispute the Furnace Creek temperature as well, and that's the problem here, because many of these record temperatures happened quite a while ago, with not really much more evidence other than just trust me, bro. This caused some records to be invalidated, such as an alleged temperature of 58 degrees Celsius measured in Azizia, Libya in 1922. A quick side note, who decides if a record is valid or not? It's the World Meteorological Organization, or WMO. But in 2013, there was a temperature recorded of 54 degrees Celsius at Furnace Creek, which is believed to be pretty legit, so I guess that's why the Death Valley record of 1913 still stands. This was the recorded air temperature, however, the surface temperature can often be much hotter. Surface temperature is measured by the use of satellites using infrared sensors. For the record here, we have to look again at Furnace Creek with a record of 93.9 degrees Celsius, almost enough to boil water. Second place would be 84 degrees Celsius, recorded at Port Sudan. And then at third place, 70.7 degrees, recorded in the Lut Desert in Iran. Now, if we were to flip the script, where can we find some cold temperatures? For the record, we have to look again at Furnace Creek in Death Valley, California, and I'm only joking. The coldest recorded temperature is currently set at minus 89.2 Celsius at Vostok Station in Antarctica. We can probably give the silver medal to the Klink weather station in Greenland, where a temperature of minus 69.6 degrees has been recorded. With bronze going to the town of Oymyakon in Russia at minus 67.7 degrees Celsius. Oymyakon would be the coldest settlement in the world, and it's quite tricky to live in a town like that. Because of the cold, people leave their car engines running all day during winter to avoid the fuel from freezing and making the car unusable until spring. But if you were curious about the coldest, actual city, that would be a little bit further at Yakutsk, where a temperature of minus 64.4 degrees Celsius has been recorded. And here we have the final stats when it comes to cold. Now let's move on to the next category. If you are watching this and getting exhausted by the fact that I bring up so many numbers, I'm very sorry. But what am I kidding? I think all normal people have probably clicked off this video at this point. I know you, still watching this video, actually love this stuff. But in case you don't, here are some more numbers to scare you away. As we all know, the highest point above sea level is 8,848 meters and is found 27 degrees 59 minutes north and 86 degrees 55 minutes east. You might know it as Mount Everest, but us expert geographers actually refer to it as Sagarmāthā. The silver medal goes to K2 at 8,611 meters. You know, K2 was first summited by a team of Italians in 1954. Their expedition was led by Ardito Desio, and I've mentioned this guy before. Man went from exploring a remote oasis in Libya to conquering the second tallest mountain in the world. A serious badass. Anyway, if you were wondering what the tallest mountain outside the Himalayas was, it's Aconcagua in Argentina at 6,961 meters above sea level. The mountains of the Himalayas are at the top because we are measuring from sea level, but if we were to speak about the closest points to space, we're actually talking about a different set of mountains. Mount Chimborazo in Ecuador, Huascarán in Peru, and Cotopaxi in Ecuador are, in that order, the three closest points to space. But how is this possible? Well, it's thanks to the equatorial bulge. Because the Earth is not actually a perfect sphere and a little thicker at the equator, it causes these mountains in South America to actually reach higher into the sky than even Everest, Sagarmāthā. The third mountain category, I'll add, is the tallest mountain from its base. In this category, the first and second spots would be taken up by the mountains of Hawaii, with the third place being Sagarmāthā. Are you still with me? Because we are now checking out the lowest point on Earth. The lowest land on Earth at 430 meters below sea level would be the shores of the Dead Sea, with second place going to Lake Assal in Djibouti. But there's land far lower than either of those if you were to consider the land hidden deep underneath the ice of Antarctica. If those were included, the lowest land would be the Bentley Subglacial Trench at a depth of 2,540 meters. If we're talking about caves, we have to be in Georgia, as the three deepest caves of the world are all found in the Abkhazia area. The deepest lake is Lake Baikal in Russia, at a depth of 1,642 meters, and the second deepest lake is Lake Tanganyika at 1,470 meters. These lakes are unique in being the only places that house the freshwater equivalent of those strange creatures living in deep-sea trenches. Speaking of deep sea trenches, the deepest one is here, we all know that, but the second deepest one is here, the Tonga Trench, at 10,850 meters below sea level. If we were to apply the same logic as we did with the mountains, accounting for the fact that the Earth is misshapen, then the deepest point on Earth would actually be the Litka Deep found in the Arctic Ocean at 5,449 meters below sea level. What sort of life is found at the bottom of Litka Deep? No one knows actually, it's never been explored. There could be some seriously alien looking creatures living there, but we just have no idea. The next category is wind. For reference, a moderate breeze is about 20 kilometers an hour. The three records when it comes to wind speed are 322 recorded at Mount Kirkpatrick, 372 recorded at Mount Washington, and the record is quite a staggering 408 kilometers per hour, recorded at Barrow Island, Australia, during Tropical Cyclone Olivia in 1996. A wind this strong can strip asphalt from roads and rip paint off of rock. However, if we want the area that consistently has the strongest winds, it would be the Commonwealth Bay in Antarctica, where there is an average wind speed of about 80 kilometers per hour. The winds in the Commonwealth Bay are so strong that they'd rip trees out of the ground, if Antarctica had any. If you wanted to know the windiest city, it would be Wellington, New Zealand, which has an average wind speed of about 27 kilometers per hour. If high wind speeds are not your thing, you can find the lowest wind speeds at Dome Sea in Antarctica, where there can be found an average wind speed of about 3.6 kilometers per hour. And maybe this is a nice calm place to end our search for the extreme. Here you have an overview of all the places we covered in this video. Be sure to study this as it will be on the test. I hope this video made you appreciate the wonderfully interesting world we live in. And there are plenty more extremes to be found on Earth, so let me know if you're interested in a part 2 and I'll maybe consider making it.